Tyler Smith from the Hoosier.com. And Tyler, there always plenty happening in Portalville and lots of visits. Indiana, already, first of all, already on a great run. When you get Bryson Tucker and you add Miles Rice, the guard, to that, and you add Omar Ballo, and Sejian was on a visit, and apparently he was out having a good time at Bluebird last night, but that's being mentioned on by the fans here, so I don't want to say that's something I saw or know, because it's not. But just to upgrade and potentially, we keep hearing that Kanan Carlisle is all but a done deal. So if that ends up being the case, if you're adding Kanan Carlisle, you're adding Connor Essegian, you've already added Miles Price. What an upgrade at the guard spot for Indiana, first of all.
Yeah, when you consider how things have gone and how things could have gone, it has been quite an offseason so far. Still a lot of work to do. Still plenty of time to fill out the remaining 4 scholarships. But yeah, I was told Essegian had a great visit. We've got Carlisle, possibly Williams this weekend. Elijah Malone expected today, which is a very interesting backup big possibility from Grace College. So it's been a very interesting offseason. And again, especially after McNeely's decommitment and how things were going, a lot of fears have been kind of relieved as Indiana's off to this amazing start so far.
And yeah, and loading also reminds me, we keep forgetting, or at least I do, about Ja'Kai Newton, who is someone we have not seen play, so we don't know what he will actually be able to bring to the roster, but he's there as well. Mm-hmm. Indiana could go as one of the most guard porous teams in college basketball to one that's, I'm not going to say, one of the best, but one that is more than capable of putting them in a position to win games instead of being a liability. And I'll be the first one to tell you that the guard play last year was a liability to Indiana.
Yeah, I believe the depth was as well. And so you look at this possibility here in these next few weeks, if they fill out these scholarships, and you've got 10 or 12 guys, basically the depth that Mike Woodson was hoping to have last year could be the case this year, when there's already fans talking on the message boards about who's going to be the 6th man, who's going to start, who's going to be the 7th man, because there's already that kind of intrigue. And as they continue to add players here these next few weeks, that's only going to grow. And then, as you mentioned, guys like Ja'Kai Newton only add to that. From what I've seen of him from high school in the past, I mean, he looks like an absolute player. To me, it's all about, is he fully healthy once next season comes around? If that's the case, he's pretty dynamic and was borderline top 100 recruit on many lists. So luxury to have the depth of what Indiana's building.
And speaking of which, just because you need a scorecard, let's say that the thought that leave him off of this list, Kanan Carlisle is a done deal, which I don't know that. Everybody always says that. Probably is, and he's on one of the ones that's going to be on a visit this weekend during Little Five, which that's a great time to have anybody come visit your campus, because it is going to be it's all, if you haven't been to Indiana during Little Five, there's no words for me to explain it for you. It's called the world's greatest college weekend for a reason. But if you have Miles Rice, Kanan Carlisle, Connor Essegian, Ja'Kai Newton, Trey Galloway, Cups, Leal, 7 guards, which is about what a team needs in today's game, which is not an issue, but that's a lot of minutes to split up, especially when you look at the fact that Trey Galloway and Cups took a majority of those minutes last year. So how's that going to happen? where I don't see, because Trey Galloway, he's experienced and he could score at times in games, but it wasn't because of shooting. And your guard has to be a shooter, unless he's like a Miles Rice, who is not a great long range shooter, but he can get to the rim, and he's a hell of a free throw shooter at 80-something%. You look at Trey Galloway, he was 50%. So there's that. Ja'Kai Newton, the unknown. But there's going to be a different look from the guard slot, from who plays and how much.
Yeah, and ideally that just improves the team with the battles in practice, with the playing time battles. As we mentioned last week, hopefully the team is all about winning and coming together and figuring it out. You've also got, I would assume as things stand now, Ibaka would start at the 3, but would slide over to the 4 for some minutes during the game, which kind of opens up a spot there, whether it's Tucker or Galloway playing some at the 3, and then you got the other 2 spots that you can kind of go too deep at each of those positions with the occasional 3rd. You've got coverage for injuries. Good problem to have. And, again, as Indiana, these final 4 spots, ideally they're really going after those 4 spots with the eye of as much talent as possible, as much depth as possible. You've got plenty of time in the offseason and fall before you have to start figuring some of those things out. But it's going to be interesting. They could go, as you said, from kind of thin at some of those positions to maybe even rich at those positions. We'll find out here pretty soon.
Absolutely. Of course, today visit by Elijah
Malone.
Malone, rather. That is one that is really off the radar, and that does not. I'm not judging it. I'm just noting. You normally do not have somebody coming in from the NAIA level. To give you an understanding of where the NAIA is, it's almost below JUCO in some manners. It's Indiana University Southeast out in New Albany is an NAIA member. It's like just up from high school. A lot of times I don't want to knock it. I'm not trying to, but I'm trying to lay out layer wise the chasm between NAIA and Division 1A. That's a major jump, but the fact that they're looking at him, somebody sees something in him.
Yeah, it's one thing to be a solid player and for a guy to absolutely dominate the level, which is what he did. Also, to kind of calm some fans' nerves with that, the last 2 years he's had Division I offers. He decided to stay to get his degree at Grace College.
Whoa! Stop the presses. He did what? Stop. Yeah. I was kidding. He decided to stay so he could get his degree at an NAIA school, which I'm loving. It just cracks me up to hear that. But now he can come get his master's, I guess.
Yeah, Grace with his, some of the, it's a Christian school, so some ministry degree, but also the records he was going to break, the fact that they were, trying to win nationals. He just felt like that's where he needed to be for those couple of years instead of entertaining those Division I offers. Now he's got more Division I offers here in this 5th final year that he can have. So he's looking for the right fit on campus today. So we'll have a definite exclusive with him if he does commit to Indiana. So that'd be fun if it happens, and we'll see. I think he'd be a good backup big, especially because one of Ballo's only weaknesses is from the foul line, and this guy can really shoot from the foul line. So that'd be a plus late in games.
What about further out? Is he someone that can shoot from outside?
Yes. Yeah, he shot very well. I think this past year he made 38 for 103 from 3, I think. Decent percentage. The year before he was even better. So I think there was one game where he went 6 of 8. So, I mean, he's definitely capable of stepping out and is a pretty solid passer as well from what I've seen.
And I don't know what would keep him from committing if he has the opportunity, which you're not going to see an offer until the visit. But the fact that they've had him come for a visit and tells you a lot, especially during this time. It's a busy time for Indiana basketball these next 4 days, I guess you'd say, over this long weekend. But if he gets the offer, I would be surprised if he turns it down, because he is not getting NIL money at NAIA, number one. And so to be a part of what potentially is shaping up to be roster-wise one of the best Indiana teams in a long, long time.
Yeah. Plus, he's an Indiana kid, and I know he's had some talks with schools like Wyoming. Wisconsin was interested. He told me that the Ballo addition wouldn't impact. Like, he's fully expecting to, in some cases, to come off the bench versus maybe start at some schools that are not as prominent or looking as good, this upcoming year. But he's trying to weigh all those decisions, and then hopefully, if Indiana feels it's the right fit, and he does as well, then we could have some news on that this weekend.
Yeah, there could be a lot of holes filled this weekend again, because there's been mention that now this is from the fans again, so this is not coming from anyone. I'm not that I doubt what it said, but Essegian, he's probably not going to spread this out long. He's not he's more of a role guy, and so it's not he's not someone that is just being chased down by teams. But to be able to play for in-state, I think would have to be very attractive to him. Again, the same thing with Indiana roster-wise, looking like they're potentially going to have the best team they have had in years. So to be a part of that would be pretty cool for him. So you could see a commitment from Malone, Post Malone. He's got to change his name to Post Malone, especially if you play in the post. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Malone, Essegian, and Carlisle. All three of those guys could potentially commit this weekend. And would that fill it up?
They'd have one left after that. And I would say, unless they got a really good fit for that one, I would be okay with them being a little patient with that one, because there's still some guys that are kind of floating and some guys that are still may even enter the portal. I mean, Goodman even said yesterday some big names could still enter the portal because they're waiting on their last NIL money to come in, and they may still hit the portal. So, if you have a good fit for that fourth and final spot, then I would go ahead and do it. But otherwise, if they want to keep one ready to pounce, that'd be okay as well.
It certainly will be. Indiana fans, I think that they're going to be happy with what they end up with here. If things are heading to in the direction that they certainly look to be, and to get it over quickly, so you can be set, so you can get the team set, so you know what you're going to have, and get them on campus probably all by June. Yeah. Which is the usual desire for that. But let's say they do land Carlisle, Essegian, in addition to Post Malone. Who would that final spot be geared towards, do you think?
I think they'd probably still look for a backup that can play maybe stretch 4, 3-4 spot. Obviously, if there's like a stud shooter out there, like the kid from Dayton, or somebody else becomes available, you can't have too much shooting. They still haven't addressed it a ton. I think they're going to be improved. I think a guy like Carlisle is actually going to be pretty good from three. He had some stretches last year, really lighting it up. So I feel like as he develops, he's going to be a pretty decent shooter. And Essegian would help, but that would be a tough call if you're talking like a Williams or Payne, or a guy like Kobe Bray from Dayton. Man, that'd be a tough call if I'm Indiana. If I'm going for the guy who can shoot 50 from three, or make sure you're kind of set back up big wise, because I think they'd probably want a little more size off the bench, especially with foul trouble and injuries.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way you turn down Bray if you get a shot at him, and that would be really giving Indiana virtually everything they need from a roster standpoint, because this is being added on top of Malik Reneau and Mackenzie Mbako, who are two stalwarts returning. And more importantly, it gives Indiana, you talk about depth, but iron sharpens iron. There has been such a chasm again between the top unit guys and the quote unquote second unit, whatever that is. But you've got to have guys that push you, whether it's the bigs or the guards. There hasn't been enough of that to make them better. And so this would definitely give you that, but it would also give you, you would have an extensively deep bench here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the idea. That's the plan. And it's not just depth for depth's sake either. It's like we're looking at a pretty solid starting five and then a pretty solid second unit with even some guys on top of that could make some noise. So, I think Hoosier fans, obviously you can see why some would still be skeptical because you got to see it on the court. They've had big names come in before and it hasn't worked out as well as what it maybe looked like on paper. But you can also give credit to the staff, give credit to the program here for building some momentum when things could have gone really wrong. It's a really good start. A lot of pieces to fill here, possibly this weekend or next. And then you really start to dream on, what's possible next season. Surely it's going to be at least better than this past season. So you start to look ahead and think about what is possible with the depth that they're building, and you can get excited about that.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and thank you for enjoying our content and videos. And make sure you hit that subscribe and notifications toggle so you don't miss out on anything, whether it's Indiana Hoosiers, the Boilers, the Colts, the Pacers, Indiana high school action, whatever is happening in sports. We're trying to bring it all to you, and make sure you don't miss out on a thing. Again, hit the subscribe button for us. Helps us out a ton. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much.